Welcome to Award Spotlight, where we shine a light on distinguished members of the UCLA Anderson alumni community, specifically the recipients for the school's Alumni Awards. My name is Shoshana Seidenfeld, and I am a full-time MBA candidate from the class of 2021, as well as the most recent president of our Anderson Student Association. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the recipient of the 2021 John E. Anderson Distinguished Alumni Award, Janice Chaffin, class of 1981. Janice is a globally recognized business leader whose career in high tech spans more than 30 years. She spent 21 years with Hewlett-Packard, rising to the role of VP and General Manager of the global Unix server business. Then, as the first Chief Marketing Officer of Symantec, she established an award-winning global marketing function. Later, she became Group President of Symantec's consumer business, where she successfully expanded the reach of the Norton-branded security products. She currently sits on the board of directors for Synopsys and PTC and on the boards of two privately held companies, CareerBuilder and Informatica. She's a member of the board of advisors for the UCLA Anderson Graduate School of Management, where she sits on the executive committee and on the Easton Technology Advisory Board. She is also an advisory council member for Illuminate Ventures. Previously, she served on the boards of EFI, Ancestry.com, and International Game Technology. Recognized for her career accomplishments and community involvement, Janice was named a recipient of the Agenda's 2014 Digital 50, and in 2012, she was noted as one of the top 100 women leaders in STEM. In 2010, she received the award for Outstanding Achievement from the Family Online Safety Institute, and in 2009 was named the Best Executive by the annual Stevie Awards for Women in Business. Welcome to the Spotlight, Janice.
Thanks, Shoshana.
We're really happy to have you here, so let's get started. My first question for you, Janice, is that you received your MBA in 1981 when technology was in its infancy. Tell us a little bit about what drew you to the field.
Yeah, so that was a long time ago, obviously, pre-email, pre-cell phone, pretty much everything. And when I was an undergrad, I had the opportunity to work in the dean's office for the medical school at UC San Diego, where I was an undergrad. And during that time, I worked largely in the admissions office, where it was just a lot of paperwork. There were a lot of applicants, as you can imagine, for medical school. And it was all very manual. We spent, piles of paper that we had to go through and mark a certain way and record everything for all these applicants. So it was really time consuming, and honestly, a large part was very boring and very rote. During that time, however, they decided they would implement an application to really help the processing of all these applicants. And I got to take part in not only scoping out what needed to be done, but also helping implement it, and then all the way to being part of the training and using the application. And that really sparked my interest. I had programmed before as an undergrad, and it really wasn't that exciting to me. But this way I saw the link between technology and business. And that is why I looked for schools for MBA programs where I might really kind of revisit that as part of my MBA. And UCLA had just the right program for me. It was a management information systems emphasis. And so that's really, why I came to UCLA.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And as a successful woman in a male-dominated industry, how did you handle the trials that sometimes come with being the only woman in the room?
Good question. Yes, it was really situational. So when I first went to work at Hewlett-Packard, I was the only woman in the department. It was a department that was in manufacturing. So pretty much even the larger division was pretty much all men. And I walked in one day and just said, I just said this was, a new experience. I was open to whatever was going to happen. And I was really lucky because one of the employees kind of took me under his wing and basically just started teaching me what I needed to know. And we became friends, and I became friends with the other people in the department. So I never really felt like being a woman was any different. I just felt part of the group, part of a team, because of the way that I was welcomed, and that was great. Later on, when I was going for certain promotions, I realized that some people have unconscious biases, and those biases might be things like "you're too nice," which is one of the things that I was given as a reason for not getting a promotion at one point. And I realized that that kind of meant to the person who said that to me that I couldn't make hard decisions, that I really was too nice to be able to do the things sometimes you have to do in business that are difficult. So I kind of approached that one head on, and he was open to me spending more time with him. So kind of on a somewhat regular basis, I met with him and I talked a little bit more deeply about what I did in my job and the kinds of decision-making that I had to make. And I think he realized out of that, you can be really nice, but still make some really tough decisions. And how you implement them can be done in a nice way, even if there was an effect on people that was, somewhat unfortunate. So eventually I got the promotion that I had hoped to get in the first place. And then later on, as a board member, I've been the only woman in a boardroom several times. And each situation is a little bit different. But I was lucky in the first board, or the second board actually, that I was part of as the only woman, that they were really welcoming. They wanted to create diversity in their boardroom. And so they wanted to have someone like me join them. The real interesting thing was that the older gentleman in the room, who didn't really work with a lot of women in their careers, didn't quite know how to deal with me. They were very welcoming, but they just were a little bit hesitant to know what to do. And so I felt like it was a great opportunity, because they did want to hear from me, to just sort of relax and help them relax and to be part of the discussions. The chairman in that situation was really great, because he always made sure that everybody in the boardroom had a chance to speak on a particular issue. So I just started becoming one of the group, and we went through some funny scenarios sometimes where they would realize, oh gosh, she's a woman, so we maybe should act a little bit differently. But they were pretty self-aware, and if I ever had to point anything out to them, they were really they really wanted to know, did they do something that was offensive, or could they do something that actually would be more welcoming? So every situation where I've sort of been the only has been different, and I'm lucky that way, I guess, because I got through all of them. I got my promotions. I'm in boardrooms, and it's been great for my career.
Thank you. And as a fellow woman in tech, it's really inspiring to hear those anecdotes and kind of hear your advice about how to handle those situations. So after 30 years in an intense, ever-evolving industry, what made you decide to formally retire, and how do you spend your time now?
Yeah, so one of my least favorite words, retire. I at the time I left Symantec, I'd been there almost a decade. So, and things were changing at the company. It was a good time for me to kind of move on to something else. And in my life, I knew I would never, quote unquote, retire in the real sense of the word, meaning, sit back on the sofa, do nothing. That was never going to be me. I'm pretty energetic. I love learning. And I don't like sitting on the sofa that often. So I had a plan in my head that I thought would be good to pursue. And that was to have a portion of my life still dedicated to being a professional. And so what that yielded was board positions, and both for profits and nonprofits, which keeps me busy professionally. It keeps me up to date on technology, which I really enjoy. I meet new people and interesting people, and it's really a great and fun part of what I do these days. But the other part of why I wanted to change is that I wanted more flexible free time. At the time I retired, my parents were in their 90s, and one of the kids, namely me, the oldest, had to take responsibility for helping deal with their aging. And so I needed more flexibility to be able to do that. My daughters were in their 20s, so they were just becoming adults and pursuing careers and things like that. And it was real fun to hang out with them, to be honest. And then my husband and I really wanted to travel more. And while I had been so many places in the world during my career, rarely did I get to enjoy the sights. And we had a very long bucket list of places we wanted to go. And it was great. Pre-COVID, we checked a lot of them off, and hopefully post-COVID, we'll go some more places. And then last but not least, I've always been into exercise, and I'm very sporty. And I wanted more time to ski and kite surf and and to do the physical things that I loved. And so I kind of made that the next phase of my life. I had a whole portfolio of things that I'd like to do. So it's worked out pretty well.
I love that. It's never too late to double down on your passions and hobbies. So as I mentioned before, you're obviously very involved at Anderson. I've interacted with you through the Easton Fellowship, and you have numerous leadership positions. So, why is that important to you to give back to Anderson in that way?
Yeah, so giving back to Anderson has been great. It's been really a two-way street. The reason that I became involved with Anderson again, post my MBA, was that getting that MBA really changed my life. It certainly changed the trajectory of my career, but really it changed my life. As an undergrad, I didn't really find the major that was the thing that I was passionate about. And I realized that it was for a couple of reasons. One is that I love the connections between things. And I love how the different functions in a business can work together. And so for me, having that ability through Anderson to figure out what really excited me, which ended up being business and ended up being, person running businesses globally, it had those elements. And I was able to accomplish so many things. I was the first person in my family to get a college degree, and certainly the first to get a graduate degree. And I really felt like there were other people besides me today that were having that experience. And so I felt that perhaps I could bring some knowledge, some mentoring, some understanding to folks, in the Anderson community today as students, and to support the efforts of basically the faculty and staff through being a board member. It's been just fulfilling. I meet great people like yourself, really interesting, smart, accomplished people. So I get something out of it. It's really fun to be part of that. So it's really a two-way street, and it's been terrific.
Thank you. Yeah, we are definitely grateful for your advice and your feedback and all of your involvement. And it's been incredible to get to know you through that. So finally, given your experiences, what advice do you have for graduating students as they start their careers post-MBA?
Great. Yes. So one of the things that I think is really important is that you go to work every day. It's not going to be a 9-to-5 for most MBAs. You've got to enjoy what you do. Now, every single day isn't going to be, fun. There's going to be hard times in your career. But more or less, you should enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy the job that you have. Enjoy, growing into new things. Because life's too short not to sort of enjoy what you're doing. And so don't be afraid to change. If you get in a rut, if you feel like you've, really gotten everything out of the job that you have, or maybe even the way your career's going, don't be afraid to make a change, because honestly, you don't know where that road may take you. So learning new things is always great. Be confident about doing that, and just make sure you enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations again on your award.
Thanks a lot, Shoshana.